So the enumerator, some of you may have done this, some of you may not have. So basically what this allows you to do is to associate numbers to particular names, so it makes readability far more easier when you're coding. So the way it actually works is you would declare the enum, which is enumerator. So with the enumerator, you would declare it and then you would give it an identifier, which is going to be, in this case we have colors, then we have red, blue, orange, yellow, and it works a bit like indexes. Remember, index always starts with 0. So whenever you do give particular names, in this case red is going to be assigned as 0, blue is going to be 1, orange 2, and so on. What you can do is, if you don't want to assign 0, you can be fairly specific. We could say Monday is going to equate to 1, Tuesday is going to equate to 2, and so on. So you can actually specify specific numbers to names that you may want to use in your code. And the same thing applies, you may want to have different numbers, not a sequential setup. For example, like colors have hex codes. Hex codes obviously is not going to work in this case, but you could have, for example, black is 0, red is 10, blue is 13. So you're not always stuck with a sequential form. So the code for defining an enum or enumerator type is going to be, in this particular case, we have enum and we have animals. The animals we have are elephant, lion, whale, and tiger. So these are user-defined types. And then you have to give it have an instance of animals. And in this case, the instance I've given is type of animal. Now if we look at the code, and the code is also available online, so which is called animals.cpp, so you can actually open that. I'll give you half a minute or so to open it while I pause the video. Okay, so when we look at the code and when we execute this, so it says select an animal. So the choice we generally have is 1, 2, 3, or 4. So I could type in 4, and it will come up with it's a whale. So looking at this code, you can type in a particular number, and you can now see how it'll be far more easier to have the enumerator, especially when you're reading code. So if you have a lot of numbers that you're going to deal with, or different flags, it's always good to have some kind of an object name that could associate to a number. So in this case we have animals. So if we basically have an else if statement, I'm going to select number 1, and it'll say elephant, because it's checking here depending on what we enter. So we're going to enter animal entry, then it's going to test animal entry against elephant, and elephant is actually a number 1. It's an enumerator. We could say if it equals 1, exactly the same. We could do 2, could do 3, and so we could do that. But further down, what you could say is, you could say if elephant equals or something else, a number, or you could have 2 enumerators. Now you could match, if this particular elephant equals this, or say if you have a game, rock, paper, scissors, you could have, if there's conflicts between the 2 different objects. So that's where enumerator would be fairly effective in places like that.
You can also assign specific values. Like
yes.
Even though it doesn't have the name.
So if you don't assign values, it will automatically assign 0 through, depending on the number of objects you have. You can also assign specific. So here we have tax 1 10, tax 2 8. So you can vary that. So it's flexible in that sense. Yes.